Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's event. I'm Laura Dillon with MS Dynamics World, and we're here today for an informative look at HoloLens 2 and Dynamics 365 Supply Chain Management, the case for strategic asset management. Our presenter today is back here with us. He's been with us before, and we're delighted to welcome him here again, Chris Segurado with Mazars. It's my pleasure to welcome you back here with us today, Chris. So as we get started, please know that we do welcome your questions. You can feel free to type those in at any time during his presentation in the Q&A or chat box that you'll see in your GoToWebinar interface. And someone from the Mazars team will follow up with you after the session. So without any further delay, Chris, I'm going to hand things off to you to get us started.
Awesome. Thanks so much for the intro. Hello, guys. First of all, thanks so much for joining. My name is Chris Segurado. Excited to be here today and talk to you about the next hour about Dynamics 365 supply chain management, asset management specifically, HoloLens 2 and Microsoft Dynamics 365 guides. During the presentation, I will not only demo an end-to-end scenario for an asset management, maintenance request and work order scenario with guide support, but I also drill down in the architecture, configuration, setups, and how you can integrate your existing Microsoft Stack applications with mixed reality applications. So let's jump right into the agenda, so we can see what's to come. All right, we will kick it off with a short intro or a few words about myself and Mazars. I keep it very quick. Then we set the stage for the demo. We'll provide an overview about HoloLens 2, Dynamics 365 guides, and Dynamics 365 for supply chain management, specifically the asset management module, and other subcomponents required for the demo. Afterwards, we will jump right into the live demo that I prepared for you. And to wrap things up, I will talk about the conclusion and business value, and want to highlight some findings from the demo and how Dynamics 365 guides and HoloLens can actually add value to your operations, disrupt or redesign how business processes are executed or supported, as well as can make you more competitive in the marketplace. Lastly, we have a Q&A section. Please feel free to post your questions, and as already addressed, we'll get back to you on that and reach out to you. Cool. That said, quick intro to myself and Mazars. My name is Chris Segurado. As I already said, I'm a Microsoft certified professional and trainer for Dynamics 365 F&O, CE, Power Platform, and Azure. Currently holding the role of a senior consultant with Mazars and focusing on Dynamics 365 F&O, specifically supply chain management, and have some other additional expert roles here at Mazars with security, RSET, and HoloLens mixed reality applications. That's why we're here today talking about HoloLens. Few words about Mazars. Mazars is a Microsoft Gold partner, and as you can see on the right-hand side, we are full system integrator. So while my persona is focused more on the business application side, we have a strong or whole team of Microsoft experts and professionals in other areas such as cloud transformation, digital workspace, Power Platform, cyber, client care, data analytics, and application development. Recognizing that every industry has its own requirements, processes, and needs, our team has seasoned industry expertise reaching from retail over manufacturing, distribution, healthcare, life sciences, all the way to financial services, to serve you and your custom needs with an industry-focused flavor and a tailored approach. That was a short intro to myself and Mazars. Enough about the formalities here. Let's talk about business applications, have some fun. So I want to start first with a little intro. And here I listed some of the major components that are required for today's demo. I want to make sure you set the expectation, and especially for the folks that are not familiar with such, let me shortly introduce you to the components. Okay. First of all, what is HoloLens 2? HoloLens 2, I actually have one here next to me, and I will use such in a second. All right. Is a mixed reality device, glasses, running on Windows mixed reality platform on the Windows 10 operating system. In case you're new to the space here or that industry, mixed reality is pretty much a blend of physical, real, and digital worlds. It unlocks natural or intuitive 3D human, computer, and environment interaction, as you can see on the right-hand side in the graphic. HoloLens itself comes in 3 different versions and at 3 different price points. We have the developer edition that I have here right now. You will see it in a second. We have the industrial edition, what is more designed for or more designed to support work environments in regulated environments such as clean rooms or hazardous locations. And then we have the HoloLens 2 Trimble XR10, what is a hard-headed integrated HoloLens 2. It's built for personal or employees in dirty, loud, and safety control work sites, for example, construction sites. Moving on to the next component, Microsoft Dynamics 365 Guides. What is that? Guides is one of Microsoft's mixed reality application for Microsoft HoloLens, and it guides an operator through the flow of work or a sequence of steps or tasks by providing holographic instructions throughout the process. And I will demo that in a second. Just for your understanding, from an architecture reason, it comes with 3 components. One is the guide solution that you install actually in your Power Platform environment. And I can show you it real quick in a second. Then we have the Guides PC authoring application, what's installed on your local machine. I will show you that right now. Here, there's the PC authoring app. Here's where you actually create the guide, right? It's a free download, okay? And then we have the Guides HoloLens application on the HoloLens itself to play the guide, okay? So those 3 components are required. Let's go to the next one, Dataverse. It ties perfectly into. Dataverse is also formerly known as Common Data Service. It lets you securely store and manage your data that's used for CE business applications, such as Guides. So Guides is built, or Dynamics 365 Guides is built on top of Dataverse. It's important. You will hear when I talk about Do-Right in a second why. So the data is stored within Dataverse and in tables there. And again, Dataverse comes with out-of-the-box standard tables, but you can adjust them also to your custom needs. And as you apply solutions, for example, Guides, the Dataverse table structure gets extended or tables get added, okay? The next part is Dynamics 365 Supply Chain Asset Management. And again, we'll go into demo straight after. Just want to make sure I set the expectation. Asset management is an advanced module for managing assets and maintenance jobs in Dynamics 365 Supply Chain Management. It lets you manage functional locations, work requests, work orders, warranty tracking, corrective or preventive maintenance, work order scheduling, and so on. And here the data is actually stored, maintained, and processed in your Dynamics 365 Supply Chain Management database. What's a different database than Dataverse? Okay, it's a perfect segue again into Do-Right. You see what I'm trying to do here. Try to make sure I build up on top of it. Do-Right, what is Do-Right? Do-Right is an out-of-the-box infrastructure that provides near real-time integration between CE apps that are built on top of Dataverse, like Guides, and F&O or ERP applications where the data is stored separately, like Dynamics 365 F&O or SEM asset management. The integration is actually facilitated via entities and DMF, and Do-Right is, so to speak, the glue between the F&O and CE applications. Okay, so you can see why Do-Right is important for that demo today. Lastly, Power BI. In our scenario, it's Power BI Desktop. Again, free application. You can download it from Microsoft Store, and it lets you connect, transform, model, visualize your data. So you can connect to multiple data sources like F&O, Dataverse, fetch the data, model the data, and create visualizations. And we'll show it today, managerial asset management KPI dashboard later on. Okay, so that was just a quick intro to the components. Here's the architecture, how everything is tied together. And that's after that we jump in the demo. Okay, on the left hand side you can see HoloLens 2. Here we have the Dynamics 365 Guides HoloLens application installed. First, when you log in, you're logging in with your Azure Active Directory account, and it prompts you also to which Dataverse environment you connect to. Of course, if you have to correct security rights, you would see only the Dataverse environments that you have access to. And also you can assign specific security rights, and I can show you that second to see what I'm talking about. here. If I'm going to Admin Center, Power Platform Admin Center, and I specify my environment here, it's M365 Dynamics, right? Under users, I can actually specify which roles I want to assign. Here, for example, if I'm going to that user and I say manage security roles, I can see in the right hand side there are a couple different ones for guides. A bit further down. Here you have the guides author and operator role, right? So what is the difference here? The operator can just operate, the author can author in the HoloLens too, but authoring is in that scenario, just hopping back to the PowerPoint presentation, just want to show you where it is. Authoring doesn't mean creating the guides or the task steps. It's more positioning the 3D objects towards an anchor. So you specify the anchor first on the PC authoring app. All right. It could be, for example, a QR anchor. It's a QR code, a static QR code that you can put on the machine itself. That's what we use today. Or it could be an Azure anchor. An Azure anchor uses sensing and processing on HoloLens 2 to detect an object and aligns your 3D models based on that object. So it's more object detection. You can have also a holographic anchor, so if it's a 3D model that you can manually overlay with the physical object and then start the guide, and it positions your 3D objects based on how you positioned it, that 3D object on top of the physical object. Or you have the QR anchor, what is, again, you can place it on the machine and you can rearrange your 3D object in a specific location based on that QR code and where you scan the QR code. So it's pretty much your starting point of your coordinate system, if you want to say it that way. Okay. Then we have Dataverse and Power Platform. Here again, we need to make sure that we have our Dynamics 365 guide solution installed. Again, you do that via Admin Center. Just going back, you can do that here via environments in our Power Platform Admin Center. You specify our environments and 365 apps. And I can install apps via the install apps feature up top here, and you can see it's already installed, of course, for today's demo. Okay. Also, after you install the application here, you can see it here under Power Apps in your M365 environment. That's my environment today. If I'm going down, you can see it's a little bit far up here. Yeah, you can see it's the guides Power App. Okay, the model-driven Power App. Okay, so pretty much what it's doing, it's applying that guides application managed solution, and it also extends Dataverse based on the tables that are required for guides, and I'll show that in a second. So after we install it, all our necessary tables and then relationships and Dataverse are actually created for us. So if I'm going to Dataverse, I can see now that there are guides tables. I want to show you a real quick one because it's important for Power BI and how we fetch the data later on. So I'm going to all, takes a second. I can filter by guides. And you can see now our guides tables will pop up in a second. So every time now an operator uses the guides applications of HoloLens and moves forward or backwards from step to step, it will record, for example, the processing time, how long did I actually spend on a specific task or specific step, okay? And it will save it into Dataverse, okay? And it's saved in those tables. So if I'm going, for example, to guide session or guide session step wizard, and open that table, you can see there should be already a couple data elements that are stored here, and it loads. And again, your production instances will have more horsepower, so please don't be disturbed with the performance at this point. So here you can see when it was installed. You can see our table properties. And you can see here there are specific steps and tasks. One step can have multiple tasks, and we'll show it in a second. You can see when I started that step or when I ended it, so the processing times are tracked. It's very important for our Power BI dashboard later on. So I want to make sure that you understand. Again, the tables are there, and the data is tracked in Dataverse. Okay. Additionally, if I'm going back, I can also create additional Power Apps, Canvas apps. Here I created two, the Verity Checker and the On-Hand Checker. that you can reference later in your Power App, and you can actually interact with it while you're processing a guide. What's pretty handy, if you're envisioning your technician or like a field worker, and you can have and interact with your ERP with having both your hands free, you don't need a laptop on the side or a mobile phone, you can do it directly via mixed reality. What's pretty cool, and I'll show it in a second. So I created those two Canvas apps. One is, again, it's connected via F&O or via Dynamics 365 supply chain management via the premium F&O connector. It's fetching the warranty data from our asset and checks if I actually have still warranty. Okay, and the on-hand checker, same scenario for different, same concept, different scenario. Here we check if there's actually on hand for a spare part. So instead of me going back to the office or needing to request the information, I can directly check it while having my hands free, all in one view. So and if I'm going here to details, in the Power App itself, we will reference the web link. Okay, that's how we would open the Power App later in our guide. Okay, cool. Just want to make sure that you understand. It's still setting the stage. Now we're going to the bottom where it says PC and laptop. Here on our local machine, we installed a Guides PC authoring application, and I showed it. I gave you a highlight before. Again, when I sign in, I already signed in here. You sign in with your Azure Active Directory account again. It will ask you again which Dataverse environment you want to connect to based on your security permissions and which environments you have access to. You have a certain selection that you can do here. And then you can see your guide here. That's actually where you create the guide initially. That's where you create the steps and author it. And you can see here, I specified certain steps and certain tasks with multiple steps. And steps can be also tied via yes, no in a hierarchy structure. So here's a question that I have to answer. Hey, do we still have warranty? If it says yes, then it will guide me through that step and say, hey, okay, cool, please contact your manufacturer. If I say no, it will guide me through the repair process. Okay. Additionally, you can also, if I'm going here into that step, you can see I can add media panel. On the media panel, I can add pictures and so on, or I can add 3D objects. And the 3D objects right now, that's what I was addressing earlier. I just throw in the 3D objects at this point. I didn't position them yet in a specific location based on that asset. That's where the PC authoring, the Dynamics 365 Guides HoloLens application comes into play, where you need to access that application on the HoloLens itself with author in author mode, with authoring permissions, and then you can position those 3D objects that I specify here, that are stored in Dataverse, and I can position it to a specific location based on your anchor. Okay, so I just want to make sure that's clear. Out the box, Dynamics 365, the authoring app for guides, does not require any coding skills. As you see, it's very, very user friendly. You can but the creation process is always a two-step process. First, I create it here on the PC app, and secondly, I'm going to the HoloLens itself and position the 3D objects. Okay. And there are two more apps that I have pointed out here. That's Power BI Desktop. Again, I use it later to connect to Dataverse, to our data source, and model and visualize our data that we are processing via the guides, or storing, or like the processing times that I store in Dataverse. I will fetch some data and model it a little bit, and I can show you how it looks like. And lastly, we have the HoloLens desktop streaming application. I will just use that to show you my screen, so you can actually see what I'm seeing through the HoloLens later on via live stream. It's connected via IPv4, or it's connecting via IPv4 connection. Cool. Then you can see in the top there's Do Right. As I said, Do Right is important because it's an out-of-the-box integration between CE applications / Dataverse, as well as Dynamics 365 for supply chain management. Okay, so here I can show you real quick what I did. Actually, I need to go to my incognito browser. I open a new incognito browser to access Do Right, and I enable the cookies. Just some hints here, because sometimes that causes issues otherwise. So we are going to data management. And I'm going to Do Right. I just want to show you that I, on the do right now, so I'm opening it up, that I have the mixed reality guides entity running. So what it's doing is exactly what I said. It's taking the data. We created first a guide. It's stored in Dataverse, right? It's not available, or it's not present in Dynamics 365 for supply chain management yet. So I enabled do right, and specifically the entity called mixed reality guides. And it's now fetching the data from Dataverse to Dynamics 365 supply chain management. And I can use that guide now and actually reference it to my maintenance checklist. That's the scenario that we will cover today. Okay. So if I'm going down here, I'm going to mixed reality guides. You can see it's running. So I enabled that. So it's again fetching data. If I would create a new guide, it would update it, and F&O would see that I just created a new guide on the Dataverse side. Okay, so that's the integration point. Then we have Dynamics 365 supply chain management. Let me just hop over to my other browser. Here, start a new session. And here under modules, I'm going to the burger menu here under modules and asset management. You can see that's the out-of-the-box asset management module. You can see your assets that you manage, the functional locations, the maintenance request and work orders. Those four we will cover today. There are a couple more things like procurement. If you have POs or PRs that originate from a work order, or maintenance scheduling, loaning, downtime scheduling, registration, and so on. But that's the out-of-the-box asset management module. And again, we will cover a maintenance request, a work order, and we'll talk a little bit about assets in a second. Lastly, before we hop into the demo, again, last piece, I promise. I downloaded the F&O mobile app on my phone, so I will use that later on. After publishing the asset management workspace, and I can do that via mobile app in the setting. Here I can publish a workspace to my mobile app, and I published, if I'm going down, here I published the asset management workspace, so I can now access it on the F&O mobile app if I'm logged in. I will, in a second, what I will do is actually start the work order. I can see all work orders assigned to my user that I'm logged into, and I can start the work order, and then I can process the guide via HoloLens. So I kick it off with the phone. I'm completely mobile. I don't need a laptop or something with me, and I can process it or execute the repair or the maintenance checklist directly via the HoloLens. Okay. Again, very handy for technicians that it's a very mobile fashion of workflow. Cool. That's it. That's the architecture. We discussed all components. You should understand now what we're trying to do and how everything's connected. Now we jump into the demo. And the demo itself, that's the scenario we cover. So let's discuss what we cover, because then we will be completely in the Dynamics 365 supply chain management environment and on the HoloLens itself. It's facilitated in a demo instance. Again, please don't be concerned about performance. It's a demo instance. Production instances have more horsepower. We also use demo data. Today's demo is covering the scenario of an asset management checklist with guide support. We will first create and process a maintenance request in Dynamics 365 supply chain management, asset management, turn such into a work order. Then we would schedule that work order and prepare the work order to be executed. As a next step, I change my hat, literally. I put in the HoloLens, I take my phone and mimic I would be a field technician. I can see which is assigned to me, what work order is in my queue. I will actually start the work order on the phone, and the work order will have a maintenance checklist associated. We identify that asset is faulted and requires a repair. So one of the steps in the maintenance checklist, the last one, is optional repair if it's broken, and it guides me through that maintenance repair step by step via the guides application on the HoloLens then. Lastly, we close it out. We are looking at the processing times, how much time they use on each step, and there's some insights that an asset manager or planner could get out of using guides. And you can see it via a KPI dashboard and Power BI desktop. So that's the full scenario. That's it. We jump right into it. No more time on other things here. Cool. Just close this one out. So asset management or the work orders are associated to a project. Okay, so let me start with projects first. That's where everything originates from. So I'm going to all projects. You see I have two project sets up right now. One is for preventive and one is for corrective maintenance. Okay, this is a very easy structure. You can have it much more complex, of course. And I show you in a second where you can set it up. So every preventive work order that is created is actually associated to that parent project. You can see there are actually 3 that are actually executed already or in process. In our scenario today, we have a corrective work order, means I walk by a machine, I saw something's broken, I create a request, and it's a corrective work order. It's not a planned preventive work order. Okay, so you can see there are a bunch of work orders associated to the parent project. The parent project is used for cost tracking to track costs. So you can again slice and dice it even more into a more granular level. Right now I kept it very high level and just created one project for all corrective work orders, but you could do it also by asset or any other indicator or differentiator. Where do I set it up? If I'm actually going to asset management and go to project setup, you can see here I can specify exactly that. So every time a preventive work order type is created, please use that project 187. If not, corrective, if every other one in this point, but we just have the corrective work order type, please use 188. Okay. And also additionally, you can set up a project group in a similar fashion based on the work order type, corrective versus investment versus all other ones. Please associate a specific project group. This is more for categorization, also for cost tracking and reporting. Okay. In our scenario, again, corrective will be assigned as a project group to our work order because we're creating a work order type corrective. Let's take a look at our assets, and then we can create our maintenance request. The asset that I created today is actually, just put it over here. It's actually just a screen. Like, let's assume this is a part of a machine. All right. So it's a portable screen. I set it up. It's an Asus 01. It's a portable monitor, and let's dive into it or drill into it to see what's up. Here we can see our asset. It has a name and an ID. It has an asset type. Asset type is not only categorization, it's a required field, but it also specifies which maintenance job types, which lifecycle states, which attributes, which condition assessment templates, which asset models, what can you actually use for that specific asset. So it's not just a categorization. If I'm drilling down here real quick to just show you, it also specifies which maintenance job can I actually execute on that specific asset that is assigned to that asset type. Okay, so it has logic associated behind the scenes. We also have a function location. Function location right now, I just set it to default, very basic, because I'll focus on guides. For the function location is there to manage locations or manage assets on locations, and also for cost tracking by location. The function locations are hierarchically structured, so a location can have a sub-location and so on. And the structure is usually very static. In other words, locations don't change places, however, assets do. So an asset can be installed in one function location, and you can reinstall it on another location, but the location structure stays static, while the assets can be, reinstalled on other locations. If you reinstall in another location, it will inherit all the, for example, financial dimensions from that function location that you assign it from the new function location. So you have also like a guaranteed tracking of costs based on your setups, for example, on financial dimension. Okay. Then we have manufacturer. I just specified as Asus. We have our current life cycle state. It's active. It could be also created or terminated and so on. If you're going down, again, we're not having a fixed asset assigned at this point, but you could, and we skip over that. It's not required for the demo. We can also specify attributes here. I just said it's black, it's the color, but it's a string data type. You can have also other attribute types associated. This is more important here. In the vendor tab, we specify the warranty. Okay, the warranty itself has a start and an end date. Unlucky us, it actually expired a couple days ago. So we're out of warranty, and we have the 1-year warranty agreement attached to it. If I'm drilling down, you can specify here actually The period, again, we say 1 year, and you can also specify if it's full or partial coverage, and you can set up terms that are related to your expenses, hours, or items from a warranty standpoint. Okay, so here again we say it's 100% warranty. Again, just recall later in our demo that we are out of warranty. Again, we can also associate an address or asset maintenance plan, location maintenance plans, maintenance rounds, and so on. If you want to have a scheduled maintenance set up, right? In our scenario, again, we just ad hoc created a corrective maintenance request because I, as a field technician, walked through the plant and I saw something is broken, so I created that request, and my asset manager or the planner can actually then review if it's a valid request, and if you should take that on as a work order at this point or not. Okay, so that's it. Enough to the structure. You understand now that the project is the top part. The project has a sub project, one or many. What is the work order? And a work order is associated and has always an asset associated, as well as an asset is always associated to location. So that's the hierarchical or the association structure. Okay, that's it. We're ready to go and create a maintenance request. We do that under, again, I want maybe a little bit quick, under the burger menu, and then asset management, and under maintenance request or maintenance request. I create a new maintenance request by clicking in the left upper corner. You see the corrective type defaulted in. And this, again, we addressed it before. This determines which project is actually chosen, as well as which project group is associated to the work order later on. Okay, we can specify the description. Here we say it's defect screen maybe. We can specify the function, location, or asset. In our case, we know our ASUS portable monitor is broken, so we specify that asset here, and the function location will default in a second. Cool. We can also specify the service level. Okay, the service level can specify the severity. If I'm drilling down via view details, you can specify here the expected start and end date. So here the start date is 0. What does it mean? Immediate start today, and the end date to be expected is in 4 days. Okay, you can see the expected start and the end date. So we can adjust it, of course, for other severities. And we can say 0 and 1 if it's very high severity. This is a medium, so we should process that work order next 4 days, so we have a little bit of time. But that's what we specify here. We can also specify the fault symptoms. The fault symptoms are actually designed via fault designer. So you can specify per asset type here, electronics, ASUS is associated to the electronic asset type. We can specify which fault symptoms, which fault areas, and which fault types are actually allowed for that specific asset. Okay, so here we just have one set up. Just kept it very, very, very simple. Screen, a cracked screen. We need to replace the screen. And you can see the fault area is electrical and the fault type is damage. And I set it up again via fault designer. I don't want to drill down in that because it's just a side fact. We can also specify the maintenance downtime if you would like. You can create maintenance downtime registrations if you would like. It's not part of our demo, so I would skip over that. And you can see who started it. The HoloLens 2 user, it's the user that I'm logged into, is actually started that request. Okay, the actual start date is today, and I can also put notes, my notes. Okay, I am ready to firm that request or create that request. After I created request, there are a couple more things that I can actually add. Number one is the responsible group. Based on responsible group, the changes to selection that I can actually populate in the responsible field. Here we can say, hey, we actually need an electrician to do that. And then all electricians that are assigned to the electrician's responsible group can be now selected here, one of those. So I say, hey, HoloLens 2, this is the guy we need to do that. All right, so you can see it should be started by HoloLens is it's my user, and it's also the responsible person to do the work. Okay, scrolling down, I can also add timestamps or notes here. You would say see it later on the report. That's why I would press timestamp, but you can add additional notes as a planner now. Additionally, we want to specify a maintenance job type. As you Remember, each asset has an asset type specified as required field. In our example, it was electronics. And on that asset type, we specified which maintenance job types are actually allowed for that asset type. So here in our scenario, we allowed a couple, but the one that we want to go through is the corrective repair maintenance today. We can also specify the trade, what is pretty much a skill set that you require or competency requirement that you require. In our example, this is electrician. That should be it at this point. We are ready to save it. Let's say we say it's a valid work order request or maintenance request. We want to firm that into work order. We can do that so in the action pane via work order here. We do so, we can specify again. We can see all the information default in, right? If you would like to change something, we can do, but it's fine. We can confirm that now, and we see the expected start date is today, and it should be executed in 4 days based on the service level setups. Cool. So it created work order 26 for us. Yeah, it created a work order. So now let's go to the work order. I do so via asset management, burger menu, asset management. Then we go into work orders and all work orders. All the information should be defaulted in from our work order requests. You can see defect screen. There are a couple more things that we can actually see now. Actually, if I'm going to project group, I want to show you a corrective was assigned. You can see based on our project group setups initially that I showed you. Okay. Additionally, you can see the expected start date and end date. We have not scheduled it. We didn't even actually do the work yet. Okay. So the next thing that I want to, and you can see it's actually in a new status at this point. The next thing I want to do is I want to dispatch the work order. Okay. You can see the maintenance forecast defaulted into 1. We want to schedule 1 hour. That's an accurate forecast. We want to specify the worker now. We say HoloLens 2 is the worker. That's our resource, actually. That's associated to our resource. Please make sure before you dispatch it or schedule the work order that you have a calendar associated to the resource. Otherwise, scheduling will fail. Okay. So I do so. And you can see it's new. If I refresh the screen now here on the right hand side, it will say scheduled. Scheduled, cool. And our schedule time is updated. So now it's a valid work order that's actually scheduled for HoloLens. If I'm going now to my app on my phone in a second, I would see if I'm going to work orders assigned to me, you can see when I'm logged in with HoloLens 2 that there is a work order in my queue. Okay. Again, if I'm going to forecast, you can see that the forecast, the 1 hour that we are forecasted is actually here. Okay. We can also request if we would require spare parts. We can require via purchase requisition from work order job or purchase order directly from work order job. We could purchase or initiate a requisition that we then confirm in a PO later on after approval, of course. In our scenario, let's just assume we have enough on hand, because again, I don't want to distract from the focus here. Just to close the loop, and then we head to the fun part, to the guide. I want to make sure that you understand how the guide is actually associated to that work order now. It's actually associated to the maintenance job type. So if I'm going down to the repair maintenance job type, drill down on it, and I'm going to maintenance job type defaults, and then I go to maintenance checklist. Okay. Here you can see that I actually have 3 steps, 3 maintenance checklist lines added. Number 1 is a text type, and it says check plugin, and it says, hey, check if the machine is turned off. In that scenario, if it's unplugged, cool. It's a mandatory step. The second step we will execute is actually Celsius. I'm from Europe, so I use Celsius. The minimum value is 0, the maximum value is 60, and says, hey, measure the heat. Cool. And the last step is actually the repair guide. If it's actually broken, we consider it as fault or broken. We have a repair guide. It's an associated guide. Again, this record is actually fetched via dual write from Dataverse to Dynamics 365 supply chain, where we can now associate it that way to the maintenance job checklist. Okay. So that should close the loop, just making sure we have 3 steps to execute, and that's where we associated the guide. That's why we know, it's why our phone app knows in a second, or mobile app knows in a second, which guide we have to actually play. Cool. That enough to should be enough to the work order itself. It's scheduled, and we have some fun. Now I'm changing the head. I'm actually turning it on, and I will use the phone app then to start it. So give me a second while I put the HoloLens on, and I will kick the live stream off then in a second too. Okay. And Pamela, if the live stream is a little bit buggy and stops, please let me know, because I'm standing behind the screen now. So please, if the live stream is a little bit buggy or stops, please let me know. I just need to re-kick it off. Sometimes that's the case. I see the screen perfectly without any lag. However, sometimes the live stream is a little bit buggy in that regard. So just making sure. Please let me know if that's the case. Cool. You should see the live stream now. All right, cool. All right, I'm going behind the desk here, and I still have the app open. Let me just close it for now. I'm going to my F&O workspace, and I'm signed in with my HoloLens 2 account, as you can see. And if I'm going to all maintenance work orders, oops, actually kicking out for a second. Cool. If I'm going to my work order job list, and if I'm refreshing, you can see there's the work order 26, and it's the repair work order for my ASUS 01 asset. If I'm clicking into it, it will refresh the data. It fetches the data live from my Dynamics 365 supply chain environment. You can see defect screen, that's what we typed in. Function location, default, electrician is the trade, means my skill set. That's perfect. You can see when it's scheduled, and you can see who is it scheduled for. HoloLens 2, that's the worker the resource that I'm logged into here with. You can see this. You can see there's a maintenance checklist to be executed, what we do in a second. The most important part is actually now that we update the status, and we want to update the status to in progress, because now I'm actually processing that, right? So it refreshes what we can actually do, and I say in progress, and I updated the status. If I'm going now into my F&O environment, if I would be a planner in back office or a manager, I could see this work order is actually in process because updating the status. Cool. It says scheduled. I'm refreshing, and it says in progress here in a second. Cool. I can go out of the work order, and I'm going into my checklist now. And again, still in my work order job that I have to execute. I'm going to the checklist. And there are 3 steps to execute. I mean, again, it's exactly what I showed you before, the maintenance checklist. Those 3 steps are here. The first one is check the plugin. Okay, I'm refreshing the screen. It says, hey, check if the machine is turned off. Cool, I unplug it here. Okay, cool, everything's fine. And please, again, this is not a machine, of course. I just need to find something where I can demo with. So, but you can connect the dots, I think. So let's say we have checked that. That's fine. I can add a note, and I can go out. If I'm refreshing now, it says now it's checked. That step was checked. So we executed it. Cool. The next one is actually measuring the temperature. I can now perform the task of, to measure the temperature. I can specify a value. Let's say it's 30 degrees Celsius. Making the change. And I can add, again, a comment. Passed it, so the temperature was not too bad. Oh, it's still writing. Now, passed code. I update it. It's checked. So the last step is actually the guide. That's the fun part. So if it's now fetching the repair guide that I associated to the maintenance checklist before. So if I'm clicking on it, it says open the repair guides in the guides app on HoloLens for step-by-step 3D instructions. So I know now exactly which guide I have to play, and I have the HoloLens on. Cool. So I do that now. I need to put my phone to the side for a sec, put it in a pocket or wherever. I can now open the guides application. You can see on the when I open up my wrist, you can see the Microsoft symbol on my wrist here. That's the way how you can open up the menu. And I specify or use the guides application. I can drag and drop it where I want to, and I can open the guides application. And it takes a second, and then we'll open up my guides application. You can see there's welcome to Dynamics 365 guides. Should be already logged in to my with my HoloLens user. That's the one that I'm logged into the HoloLens itself, as well as I already specified my Dataverse environment that I want to connect to initially. So now it says look at your palm, what we're doing, and you can see here there's the guides application turning up in front of us, and you can see there's a repair guide. Cool. That's the guide we are tasked to play. Of course, I have author and operate permissions, as I showed you initially. If I would be just an operator, then I should have only operating rights, and I could only operate, of course. So please don't get thrown off with that. I operate for now. And it asked me to scan. I already used or scanned the barcode here before, so that already recognized it. It remembered that it was scanned here. Again, that's the anchor that I chose for that scenario. It's just a simple QR code anchor. You can see it here. And usually, if it's the first time you scan it, would of course not remember because it doesn't know, but it even remembers it based on the setup in the room here. You can have also other anchors, as I said, like an Azure anchor, what's more object detection, what is a 3D object, and it would recognize the machine, or you can have a holographic anchor, what would be a 3D object that you manually overlay with the physical object, and then you press start. This is, again, just the starting point of your coordinate system and where you place your 3D objects. Just want to make sure that you understand that this is pretty much the starting point of your coordinate system. Okay, so I can say confirm, and you can see it took language input. So I can also talk. I don't even need to do anything. I can even talk with it. Just want to show that it has also language capabilities. You can see on the left-hand side now, and I'm trying to, if it's lagging, buggy for you or lagging, and this is again just because of the live stream, I see perfectly without any delay. So here you can see there's my 3D object, and it says, pointing me through the back of that Asus laptop. And I'm going slowly up, so there's no lagging for you. And it says, hey, please review the warranty agreement. The serial number can be found on the back of the Asus machine. So I have my hands free. I see it in front of me. I can use that, and I can read the the serial number. Again, everything's hands-free, what's pretty powerful. Want to make sure that you understand, there are some actions in the right lower corner. You can see where the white dot is here around that. There are two actions that you can actually add. One is Power Apps action, and one is a links action. We will review both of them. So here I open now a Power App just via gazing at it. I didn't even use my hands. My hands are still free. They're actually in my pocket. I just gazed at the Power App, and it will open up in a second the browser for me. And you can see now, this is the Power App that I was originally referring to. That's the warranty checker that I showed you in the Power Apps portal, or Power Apps Make Power Apps portal. And we'll load the warranty checker. And again, that's the web URL. I can go into my enter asset name. It will open up my keyboard. And again, I put a default in. I mean, again, it could have also just left the default blank. And it's a very simple Power App. Canvas Power App. I actually use the gallery and just that filter to search all our assets. So it fetches the live assets from our Dynamics 365 F&O DB. I put in Asus, and it shows up now. Hey, look at it. Asset name Asus portable monitor. Warranty is 1 year, and the warranty started 7/1. So, well, it expired like a couple days ago, right? Unlucky us. So that said, again, what I want to make sure is that you understand you can have information directly in your screen. You don't have to go back to the office, need a laptop. You can have everything via Power App and can fetch or interact with your F&O or Dynamics 365 supply chain management environment or your ERP that way. It's very handy. You can also have in the next app that I would show, you can have an instant cloud flow and a button, and can create, for example, a purchase order directly from here for you. Without you needing to have a laptop or even the phone in the hand. You can have everything while hands free. This is very powerful for technicians that are actually needing to perform the work. Okay, so now we know we don't have warranty. Cool, we can close it. I gaze to the next step, And it asks me again, based on your warranty lookup, does this machine still have warranty? And the question is no. The answer is no. Then it says, if there's no warranty, the replacement is recommended. All right. So we go to the next one. Now again, it opens up again. There's a Power App action that I will open. What we're doing here is actually, hey, make sure that you have that part already on, or actually on hand. So again, usually I would need to go back now. Either I would have to have a handheld, or I need to go back to the office, or even inquire information from someone else. Hey, do we have actually the part on hand before I'm actually wasting time going to the warehouse and checking, or going back to my office or going back to like to my laptop or to my monitor and checking that on my ERP. I can actually check it here, and it says, oh, look, they have 40 on hand for my Asus bezel. If I'm clicking in there, you can see how much it costs. You see that we still have 40 in hand, and the stock is average in that point. It's okay. We don't need to reorder. We have enough on hand. But if you would like, again, via that restock button, I could create now a PO directly in F&O via a Cloud Instant Flow, Power Automate Flow, and interact with my Dynamics 365 or Dynamics 365 supply chain management ERP, right? So just to make sure that you understand, Power App is very, 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 very handy in that scenario. We can go to the next one. Now this is the link action. I will just open it. I will not play it. It's opening up the link again. Here, just reference the YouTube link and the video. I could now view it directly here. Like it could guide me through a process, or maybe safety instruction, or wherever it might be. And it can, yeah, it could be one of those, for example. I don't want to play it, but you get the concept. As the next step is, again, now on the left hand, the media panel shows up. I added pictures here, so it guides me through the process, not only with picture, but also with 3D objects support again. You can see here's my laptop. It shows me even which tool I have to use and where I have to use it. Okay, it's very abstract at this point. It can be much more detailed, and of course, much more advanced. And in your scenario, this is a very easy example, just to show you the possibility of what you can do. So I again have hands-free. I could actually perform the task. Now if I'm looking down, I could actually, you know, remove that the outside here, what it says. The next step would be actually putting to the side. I did so. Then it says, hey, open it up. What I did, and again, it has a description on the right hand side with wording. Then it says, hey, please unscrew the screws, so I can go down and unscrew the screws that I need. Right. Again, I already unscrewed it just to be quick, so I can, you know, I still have hands-free. I can look up again and see what to do. Just via gazing, I can go to the next step, can read what I have to do, disconnect the video cable. Great. Okay, what I have to do? Oh, there's a picture. Nice. I know exactly what to do. And there is even a 3D object on the left-hand side that shows me step by step what I need to do. So I need to unplug it. Cool. I have done it. You can see, unplugged it. I'm going up now. Again, it guides me through the other processes in a similar fashion. I just want to make sure you understand there's a media panel, there's 3D objects, and you have always hands-free. Let's just finish the guide. Let's say we did the repair, full end-to-end, we replaced it, and it says, okay, great, you did it. Congratulations, you have successfully completed this repair guide in alignment with Mazars asset management business process and quality standards. Great. We are ready to close the guide. Cool. The next step is, again, I now completed the guide, so I can actually go in here and say, completed. So now, again, if I'm going back to our maintenance checklist on the phone, I can see now, hey, it should show checked in a second, and it is checked. I'm now completely done with my work order, right? So I can go into the work order and I can say, hey, I replaced the screen. I can update the status, and I can say, hey, the lifecycle is actually not in progress anymore. It is completed. And it will update my Dynamics 365 F&O or supply chain management work order now to complete it. And will track also the time I took. Cool. So we're done here. You can see again, it's now if I'm updated now, it's not in progress anymore, it's completed, and you can see all information when it was actually expected, scheduled, and when was the actual start and end date, and who did it. And all the notes are also tracked. We can see all the notes that I added here, also in our Dynamics 365 supply chain management box in a second. That's it. I will turn off the HoloLens now and go back to my screen. And you should see me again. Cool. So that's it. We're back in our F&O environment just to close things up. In the last couple of minutes of the demo. It's in scheduled status, but because if I'm now updating it, it says completed, because again, we updated it on the phone app. And it is completed. It updated the schedule and the actual times. Okay. And the next thing I wanted to make sure is, again, if I'm going to maintenance checklist now, you can see every note that I put checked, and then the 30° that I put in, right? And pass, as well as the asset repair price completed. Everything is actually tracked here. Everything that I entered in my phone application, mobile application, is actually tracked here. Additionally, now the next step that I actually need to do is we need to finish it, so we can update the work order status and say, okay, we are completely finished. It's fun. It's done. All right. Planner set. This one is done. Completed. We are finished. So now we can see also the results on the project side if you would like, but we're not reviewing that in this scenario or in this demo. Lastly, I want to just go into Power BI for a couple of seconds to show you how it looks like, how a dashboard or managerial asset management manager KPI dashboard could look like with guides. Again, the data is fetched from Dataverse, where we store all those processing times and guide steps and tasks and so on. And here again, one user, because I just used HoloLens, was using that guide 4 sessions. So I used it 4 times, 3 times I tested it, and 1 time today. And you can see the average time per session in minutes. You can see which step took the longest. The variety check took very long. And you can see also like each session, when it was executed and how long it took. Okay. And you can also see what was the longest and the shortest. So you get deep insights into your processes, what took long, and you can also ask the why as a manager. That's always an important part, right? The whys. Why does it take long? Why is it complicated? Maybe we can help here. Maybe we can do things better, more efficient. So you can get some insights on your processes, what takes long, what is quick, and maybe you can focus on those processes. So this is interesting for managers from that standpoint. And you can also see the guides itself, how many were used per day, how many users used it, how many sessions, and how many steps were executed, and the time itself from a more high level aspect, if that's too granular. But again, just to make sure it's connecting to Dataverse via the out-of-box connector, and you can fetch, model, and visualize your data as you would like, and add even filters and say, hey, just for a specific date, you want to see the data, and so on. Pretty handy. That's it. We are done with the demo. Hope you enjoyed it. I have one more slide that I want to address, and then we're closing it off. And that's the conclusion of business value. I want to talk about that for a second. Today's use case was around asset management, and there are various other use cases like manufacturing, healthcare, and education industry. In fact, there's even out-of-the-box do-right integration or a scenario with manufacturing production control in Dynamics 365 supply chain, but that's for another webinar. You can see here a few, but not all, business value impacts that HoloLens and guides could have for you. One is you could mitigate risk. I mean, by implementing safety measures, modeling processes with guides, you can enforce that all required steps are executed and in alignment with security standards and compliance with unified workflows. For example, wear a hat, unplug, make sure that the machine is turned off, and so on. Another business value could be increased quality, minimize error. You can ensure that maintenance and possible repair work orders are processed in alignment with your best practices, with your corporate policies. From a quality standpoint, means minimize risk, errors, sorry. And you can see the guided me through a full scenario. I have never done a screen replacement. It guides me through the process more efficiently, error-free, in a streamlined fashion. So I don't need to ask about specific parts. Hey, is the spare part there? I'm self-serviced in that regard too. I'm getting empowered in that scenario. Training is another aspect. Sharing knowledge and enhancing capabilities of your workforce, driving sustainable success. and it's important to stay competitive, of course, in the marketplace. So employees can not only be easily onboarded and trained on a process operation or a new process operation, it also gives a self-service kind of feel, because it's interactive, and because of the interactive nature, it helps employees undertake the business process training on their own. You don't need a trainer per se there, because it guides you through the process step by step. So it will also cut maybe your HR costs potentially, yeah, it also helps the workforce to stay on track, stay up to date with your processes, your operations, and get appropriate training. You can tailor that. And the fourth one is productivity. You can level up efficiency, productivity, instead of requesting information again, such, hey, do you have spare parts? Do we have the warranty? And what's the next step to execute? We can actually have this information handy directly in one view while having hands-free. And again, I reiterate that hands-free while having the information in your view, not disturbing you, is great and is a game changer, especially for if you imagine a technician having a manual in the hand or like a laptop on the side. It's very confusing. Here you have everything in one screen, what's pretty cool. Lastly, we can also have an easier management, collaborative remotely, manage processing times, understand processes better, deeper. As you saw in the Power BI dashboard that I showed you, the data is stored in Dataverse, right? And you can easily fetch data, model it, trace it, create KPIs, metrics, understand your process in your business better as an asset manager. Hey, what are the repairs that we have to do? Why? How long did it took? Why did it took so long? Can we do things better? Maybe you need better tools. Maybe you get what I'm saying. You can have an easier manager and deeper insights via that data that's already tracked for you. That's it. This was a couple, but not all of business values and conclusions from the demo, but I wanted to highlight a couple to give you some food for thought, how that could be great for your business. Last slide, before we close out, I want to make sure to make you aware and point out one of our latest papers that we as Mazars published. It addresses how to approach and talk to your C-level suite in regards to HoloLens and mixed reality, and how such could add value to your business and operations. So definitely helpful and interesting if you're considering HoloLens and mixed reality applications in the near future. We'll share the slide deck as well as the link. So feel free to check it out if you're interested. We'd love to hear from you in that regard. It's a great resource. So that was it from my end. Thank you so much for your attention, time. Appreciate it greatly. Please don't hesitate reaching out to me formally, informally, email or LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever is the best communication channel. Always happy to connect, exchange thoughts, ideas around business applications, Microsoft stack, and mixed reality. So thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you.
Great, Chris. Thank you so much. That was really, really interesting. Great to have a chance to take a look at that new technology, and we appreciate you sharing your expertise with us today. If you did have a question that you typed in, you can look forward to a response from someone from the Mazars team. And we did record today's event, and we'll be making that available as well. So with that, we're going to end it there. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Bye.